Alrighty, so usually I never do this before I do a preview, and that of course is do a news of the week episode. But because I haven't got a chance to do so this week, and there's definitely some worthy news that came out of this week, I thought I might as well just kind of do a news of the week episode right now. And just a reminder that tomorrow, besides the full slate of MLS action we're also going to get the beginning of the Gold Cup. It will kick off tomorrow with the U.S. taking on Jamaica in Chicago for the opening game of the Gold Cup. Now, as I mentioned before, I'm not going to do review in terms of the Gold Cup game because it's pretty clear that these Gold Cup games are kind of almost like glorified friendlies with a lot of these MLS players playing for their national team in the Gold Cup get a chance to represent their country, which is kind of their dream of doing so, and that it's pretty much guaranteed that the U.S. is going to make it to the next round. And also, it's kind of meaningless for me to kind of do review of games where they're probably going to blow out their opponent by a big amount of score. And also, I've mentioned before, it feels like the Gold Cup this year, it feels like it's an afterthought tournament. I mean, after the U.S. Once again was able to conquer the mountain of CONCACAF, being the kings of CONCACAF after winning the Nations League final, and knowing that the Copa America is just around the corner in next year, it feels like the Gold Cup is kind of like a redundant cash grab kind of tournament to a point where I think the U.S. are clearly focused more on Copa America heading into next year because this is really a tournament that the U.S. really needed, knowing the fact that if they want to prepare to face against some of the best team in the World Cup in front of their backyard just a couple of years down the line, they need to of course play in that Copa America and face against some of the best team in South America because we know that in the South American region there's some really good team down there, including one team that just won the World Cup in this previous edition of it. Now, speaking of the preview that I'm going to do in just a bit, I'll mention this again, but I'll mention it here too. That the Austin FC and Houston Dynamo game is now moved back an hour, and it will be kicking off at 8:30 p.m. Local time. Now, I believe the last game between Austin and FC Dallas, they also pushed that one back to 8:30 because of the incredible heat that is going on in Austin. And honestly, I feel like, I know Apple TV has trying to put all these games to start at 7:30, but I feel like for Austin game, it should not be starting earlier than 8 o'clock. Like, there's a reason why when Austin came into the league, they request the league especially to have all their games starting at 8 o'clock because it is impossible to play in an Austin FC game during the summer, even with the shade that is going on at Q2 Stadium, which definitely will help the fans. But it definitely does not help the player too. I mean, they're basically exposed into the element, and that yeah, this game of course would be moved back to 8:30. I believe the temperature is going to be like 100 degrees and so forth. It's going to be incredibly hot in this one, and again, right decision for them to move that back to 8:30 p.m. Though again, we'll see whether if it's actually gonna start at 8:30 because last week or not last week, but just a couple of days ago, that game didn't kick off until 10 o'clock because of the inclement weather around the Austin area. Now, moving on in terms of the next news, and this was a big news that came out of today, and that is FIFA announcing that they are going to have the Club World Cup, and this is the expanded Club World Cup that will feature 30 teams. It's going to be host in the U.S. in 2025. So yeah, this is kind of interesting to see the Club World Cup being hosted there. And again, this is also kind of a big thing because you're going to have some of the best team around the world, around the continent that is going to be playing in this tournament, and also getting a chance that depending on how the qualification is with those 32 team, I'm assuming there's got to be some MLS team in there. I mean, as a host nation, you got to at least have a couple of teams based in the domestic league to be playing in this tournament, and I'm pretty sure FIFA is going to make sure that's the case. But yeah, it should be very interesting to not only see an MLS team playing against some of the best team in the world. I mean, we came so close last year with Seattle. If they just beat an Egyptian team, they could have played against Real Madrid, and that's always something that we've been wondering, will it happen one day that some of the best MLS team will be facing the likes of European giants like Real Madrid, Barcelona, Man City, Man U, and all those kind of club. Well, it could be a reality, and especially in front of the backyard in this one in 2025. Now, I think this also is a good opportunity for FIFA to see how exactly the U.S. will handle in terms of hosting the World Cup the very next year. I feel like this is kind of almost like the Confederation Cup, remember the Confederation Cup is something that FIFA basically have just kind of almost like a dress rehearsal before the main thing happened, and then obviously that has now been ousted because of how it's being very and not competitive whatsoever, and that feels like the FIFA Club World Cup seems to be more of their focus and especially expanding it to 32 teams. So yeah, in some way this is kind of a dress rehearsal. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some of those stadium that's going to host the World Cup in 26 is going to host these game in 2025. But I'm very excited to see if we do see MLS team play. There could be a chance they face against some of the biggest team in the world, especially those European giant and well known team. Now, moving on in terms of the next news, and of course, nowadays we can't do a news of the week episode without mentioning Inter Miami, and it seems like it is official that well, actually, it's not official, but it's pretty much confirmed that they are going to sign Sergio Busquets as a free agent. Now, obviously, the reason why I haven't say it's official is because Inter Miami, although they definitely released a teaser about Sergio Busquets coming into Inter Miami, it's kind of similar to how when Messi, of course, came into the league and they still have to sort out the contract situation. But yeah, there we go. There's the first name and first notable teammate of Lionel Messi coming with him to Inter Miami. Now, one players that have already now been officially out of the list in terms of either players that used to play for with Messi, either with the national team or Barcelona that is out of the running is Angel Di Maria. There's already multiple reports saying that they are not going to sign Angel Di Maria, but there's also still rumors suggesting that it's not just going to be Sergio Busquets that's going to be former Messi teammate that's going to join. There's going to be more players that's going to be with this team, and it just gets to a point where, again, I said this before when David Beckham came into the league and how it really changed the rules and changed the compression of how roster moves and also the amount of salary that teams could use. I wonder, are we going to see the same thing where MLS is know that they want Inter Miami to stick with the free DP rule, but they're going to make some exception and maybe make a change of the rule because again, this is definitely a watershed moment with Messi coming in, but also bringing some of his former teammate to play for Inter Miami from this summer and then beyond. Now, Orlando City, they have extended their loan option for Ivan Angulo. Now, this is not a big surprise because I think Angulo, while yes, there has been some disappointing performance by Orlando City, I don't think Ivan Angulo is one of those. He's been really good for this Orlando City side. So, no surprise that they decided to extend the loan option for him. Then LAFC also extended Francesco Poncho Ginello loan to Nasi now in Uruguay. This is also not a big surprise because LAFC is pretty stacked in the midfield. I think they're not going to bring back Poncho Ginello back into this team. Even if he's back in this team, he's not going to get starting minutes. So this is not a big surprise that he decided to stay in his native country for a little bit longer. Now, moving on to injury news. So Martin Caceres, there is a report that he's going to be out 3 to 5 months with an avulsion fracture in his left knees. Now, I believe there's going to be surgery that is going to require for this, but yeah, that is definitely another huge blow to the Galaxy. I mean, would you say that it's a blow knowing the fact that the Galaxy have already hit rock bottom and they're probably not going to do anything? I mean, that just kind of sums up this season. It's just been a disastrous season for this team, both on and off the pitch. And then just add insult to injury, literally, with their one of their best player in defense in Martin Caceres. He's basically going to be out for long term. I mean, when he got stretchered off, there was definitely a sense that it could be a bad injury, and yeah, it is. I mean, he's probably going to be like 3 to 5 months. That means that the timetable of his return is probably going to be like late September or October. You might as well just kind of say done for the season, knowing the fact that the Galaxy season is probably going to end in October and it's not going to go beyond decision day this season. Now, Austin FC, they have released a statement in support of a racial incident targeting toward Julio Cascante. So obviously there was a racial incident that was targeted toward Julio Cascante, and it's great to see that Austin FC basically stepped up. I mean, Austin FC and their supporter are one of the best in terms of dealing with these incidents, and it's great to see that they immediately show that support and waste no time for it. Now, obviously, they're going to definitely crack down on who, of course, provide that who of course was involved in that incident, and I'm pretty sure whoever is involved in the incident, he's probably not going to be welcome back to Austin FC Stadium anytime soon. But yeah, great to see Austin FC immediately release a statement about that. And again, racial incident. It's kind of sucks that we still have to deal with it nowadays, but it's great to see clubs immediately step in and say that yeah, they have no tolerance toward these racial incidents, and they're going to crack down and punish anyone that, of course, is involved in it. Now, moving on in terms of the next news and going back to Inter Miami. So, obviously, news that I've actually forgot to mention is the fact that it seems like Jorge Mas have said that Messi could be debuting as soon as that game against Cruz Azul in the Leeds Cup, which that's not a big surprise because the tickets for that game has just been increasing to a point where I think at SeatGeeks, if you look for those tickets, it's like $1,000, which is just insane. Like that, you should not be paying MLS Cup kind of final tickets to see Messi in his debut. Like I get it's Lionel Messi, but yeah, $1,000. I mean, I feel like that's even more expensive than some of the MLS Cup final ticket because I think before it was like 600, $700 and so forth. But besides the fact that obviously the tickets prices are very expensive. Inter Miami, of course, have said that they're looking to expand the stadium and close each of the end to expand the stadium to 22,000. Well, there's a problem. It seems like they're now battling with the Fort Lauderdale city government over the expansion permit, and should not be a big surprise because it feels like Inter Miami, anything with Inter Miami and city government, it's not going to end well. There's always been bickering about Inter Miami with the city government, whether it's their local city government in Fort Lauderdale or the one down in Miami, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it's going to go. I mean, I don't think the expansion is going to be ready in time before Messi eventually does made his debut in July, and if it's not going to be ready in time, again, every single game is going to be sold out. Like 18,000 seat that the stadium that Inter Miami has, it's just way too small. And this is also where I go back to what I said about hearing some rumor them moving some of these games at Hard Rock Stadium. And I think it's a good idea considering that should lower the ticket price. I mean, the demand is just outrageous right now with Inter Miami games, and especially the hype of many people want to see Messi play in person. And moving on in the next news, there's also already a leak of MLS Marvel jersey that they're going to unveil. So it was announced a couple of days ago, and pretty much every team announced that MLS and Marvel is going to be partnering with each other to create a jerseys. Now, I'm not a Marvel fan, but if you're a Marvel fan, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are very excited to see how it's going to be, especially anything to do with Marvel. Well, you just feel like it's going to be a very cool design. And then we saw the real the leak kit, and honestly, yeah, it basically is like the Captain America shield, and it basically is just kind of spatter all over the jersey. It just does not look good whatsoever. Which again, I don't think that should be a surprise because Adidas, I will say that while they have definitely done a better job in terms of creating these designs of these jerseys in the last couple of years, they always tend to disappoint. Like you cannot have a lot of hope with Adidas in terms of how they design MLS jerseys nowadays, and it feels like this probably could be a big disappointment, which is a shame because I was looking forward to this too. I mean, again, I'm not a Marvel fan, but and I feel like anything related to Marvel designing a T-shirt or a jersey in this case, it's going to be really good looking. And from what we saw in the leak, it looks like it's once again a classic example of lazy designing from Adidas that we're just so used to nowadays. And then finally, this is an interesting news I kind of want to mention. So, SF Mayor London Breed is looking to build a soccer stadium to replace the Westfield Mall. Now, as a person living in the Bay Area, I know exactly where the Westfield Mall is, and it's kind of like right in the middle of everything. And that this is kind of interesting that they decided to knock it down. And it's not like the Westfield Mall is one that is unpopular whatsoever. I mean, I think I've been there like a couple of weeks ago, and it still feels like it's doing relative. relatively well. But yeah, it's kind of surprised that they decided to get rid of it, and especially building a soccer stadium. Like it would just look really out of place if they decided to knock down that mall and basically build a soccer stadium. But what's also interesting is the fact that when they mentioned soccer stadium, what kind of soccer stadium is it going to be? Is it going to be an MLS soccer stadium that they're building in, and maybe that's just kind of a beginning of them potentially trying to get an MLS team in San Francisco, which again I don't think it's gonna happen. Like I think it's gonna be a pipe dream of seeing an MLS team that is going to be in SF, because we know the Quakes has that territorial rights, and even though I know they haven't done a great job in terms of marketing, they will basically say that there's no way we're going to have another MLS team in San Francisco. I mean, in an ideal world, I don't mind seeing another MLS team in the Bay Area. I think the Bay Area can definitely support two MLS team, but obviously the Quakes are gonna definitely not do that. And really, the only way I can think that if an MLS team does come to San Francisco, the Quakes are gonna have to be moving somewhere else. Which again, I know, the owner of the Quakes, also known as the most hated man right now in San Jose, that is John Fisher. Also the most hated man in Oakland at the same time too. Might as well just say that he's the most hated man right now in the Bay Area. Already decided to move the A's to Las Vegas, and it feels like this could maybe be the same case with the Quakes potentially moving to Vegas too, though it kind of doesn't make sense because the Quakes have already built themselves a state of the art stadium in PayPal Park, and again, that's one of the best stadium in my opinion in the league. Albeit it started to kind of look a little bit outdated in terms of design compared to some of these newer stadiums. So yeah, that's the only way I can see an San Francisco team having an MLS team. And then you're thinking, well, what about a USL team? Well, the Oakland Roots will want to have a word with that. I mean, again, I think that for USL they're trying to basically expand to market that definitely don't have an MLS team, and there's definitely some big markets around the USL that doesn't have an MLS team that they decide to go. And knowing the fact that the Roots already have a team and has that present in the USL, again, I don't think they're going to add another USL team in San Francisco. Then you go to the League One, which League One could be a possibility. And then of course you also got SF City, though SF City they have made their intention that they want to stay where they are. They don't want to have to move to another league and pay an expansion fee or so for and so forth. So yeah, again, I feel like one day we are going to get like a professional soccer team in San Francisco. Well, actually, I know SF City is kind of that professional team, but they play in the USL League too, and nobody really knows them too much unless you're like me, that tends to like to ground hop and love to watch these lower league games. But yeah, it's interesting to see that, and that I don't think it's gonna happen, but it's kind of an interesting idea that I've heard recently that it's interesting to bring it up. But there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of looking at these news that has happened in this past week. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of these news? And as always, if there's any news I didn't mention here on the board, let me know in the comments below as always. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.